But one thing I know is that the field of education is filled with some truly great people who believe in kids' potential and who are committed to creating these opportunities for kids. Last week at Field, our first grade team took all 50 of our first graders to the zoo overnight. Overnight at the zoo with 50 first graders. It's a cool program called Bunk with the Beasts, and I'm not sure who the beasts are, that gives kids a look behind the scenes at the animals in the dark. They get to use night vision goggles to look at the animals at night. And I'm just saying, how many business people do you know who would volunteer with no potential for financial gain, no bonus, no extra pay, to spend the night at the zoo with 50 first graders? By the way, many of whom have never been away from home. Are you picturing this with me? Can you imagine someone being so dedicated to their job that they take on the task of ensuring 50 first graders brush their teeth? I have a picture of that. Oh, no, I don't have a picture of that. Oh, darn it. It was a good picture. Why do they do it? They don't do it because they're going to get a bonus or they think they'll have a better evaluation. Those things aren't on the evaluation. It's because these first grade teachers, they know, and just like teachers in other schools across the state, they understand that most of their kids didn't take 2 steps forward. When I read, your family takes you to the zoo, museums, and cultural events on a regular basis. And so these teachers, they are going to make sure that every one of their kids gets to step forward. I think we take for granted what our teachers are willing to do for our kids. So let me just start here. Teachers are not the problem. Who are taking on the hero's work of our time, who are serving in low-performing schools with kids who have the most needs, they are not the reason that the school is low-performing. I've listened to some of the debates and education subcommittees in the House online. You can do that now. And when I hear people talking about chronically low-performing schools, and I hear them say things like, if teachers in low-performing schools were doing their jobs, the school wouldn't be low-performing. That's when I know that that person hasn't been in a school in a long time, because that is not even close to the reality of what I see in schools on a daily basis. Teachers are not the problem. But you know what? Want to know what the problem is? It's not teachers, and it's not the kids, and it's not the parents. It's not the administrators either. It's a system that's unwilling to fund our schools both adequately and equitably. And you know, there's enough blame going around in our world right now. So let me be clear, our legislators, they have a hard job too. I can't even imagine trying to see through the noise of all the lobbyists and what they want you to believe, and needing somehow to be an expert on all of the issues that they deal with, ranging from transportation to finance acts to sanctuary status to roads to education. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the mess that we're in, it's not their fault either. In most cases, these are good people who also are public servants who got into their professions to do something good in the world. Most of them. But really, we can get past this easy position that this is someone's fault and get to the point where we're acknowledging the issue, figuring out what we need to do about it, forgetting about who's to blame, and figuring out what the solution is. We can work within our system to engage the decision makers rather than blame them. And so that's where you come in, and that's where we come in, and that's where Great Ed Colorado comes in. I was asked to speak here today because I am privileged to be a part of the Field Elementary School story. It's the story of a low-performing school in a high-performing district. The Field story is the story of a district, a school board, and a school getting past the blame and working together to really figure things out. 5 years ago, Field Elementary was the only school in Littleton Public Schools that was not at the performance level on the school performance framework. And you can see, if you can, that in 2012, we were at the improvement category, but we were less than 1 percentage point away from slipping into the priority improvement category. And that's when the school district and the board and the school got together and they made a plan. And each year we've improved, and I'm happy to say on our last SPF, we're well into the performance category. The leadership at the district did some research to figure out what would make a difference to close the gap for kids. And they worked with the school board to find funding, imagine that. And they landed on some very specific targeted supports. They extended our school day by 53 minutes. They added co-teaching, and this is where teachers come in. So we have 2 or 3 classes at every grade level. But for instance, if we have 2 first grade classrooms, we have 3 first grade teachers. 2 fourth grade classrooms, 3 fourth grade teachers. We have an extra teacher at every grade level, specifically designated to help our students who are learning English. That's how we've designed our ELD program, through co-teaching. And it's made a tremendous impact. The very first year that co-teaching was implemented, we went from needs improvement on the access test to exceeds. We passed that performance level. Coaching for our teachers, so that not only were they supported, but we were all collectively pushed. There's nothing that builds culture better than doing hard work together, and I think that's what we've seen. They added an assistant principal, which not only helps students and families deal with the things that they're dealing with. That assistant principal, she's amazing. She actually just won the Colorado Assistant Principal of the Year award. She helps me be an instructional leader because she frees up some of my time. And we added a social worker so that our students have someone on site who can help them and their families. The Field Initiative started 4 years ago, and it worked. We've closed the gap between our students and the state average in both math and literacy every year. In language arts, our median growth percentile far exceeded the state and district average in every demographic subgroup reported. But these things do cost money. And one-time or short-term grant money, that doesn't really help because these are year-over-year expenses. Grant money is a short-term fix to a long-term problem. It helps us with one-time professional development, and quite honestly, it helps us buy stuff, but it doesn't help us buy staff. This is where an action summit like this should lead to action. How do we thoughtfully and consistently and relentlessly share this level of understanding with people who are in the position to make those changes? What we're asking of our legislators isn't easy. Funding in Colorado is complicated and it is entangled like no other state. But we are asking them to not be constrained by the 2 or 4 year election cycle, making decisions based on what will get them reelected. That is a short-term cycle that will limit effective leadership. Instead, we're asking them to stand up for a long-term fix to a long-term problem because they believe it will benefit our kids. We need people in our community and in our legislature who are willing to get educated about what schools really are doing. It's easy to blame. It takes courage to work together to figure out a solution. And when Littleton Public Schools started the Field Initiative, they showed us what courageous and thoughtful leadership looks like. It's removing the blame, figuring out what works, and funding it. It's time for us in the state of Colorado to do the same. But there's another problem, and I think this is one that my colleagues in rural schools will really agree with. It's a teacher shortage that's looming. I just made a case for why we need more teachers in schools with students with more needs. But the problem is there aren't more teachers. The statistic I heard last week said that we are looking at a 3,000 teacher shortage in the state of Colorado this fall. 3,000 teachers across the state, and most of those are in our rural schools. Recently, there was a KUNC piece by Anne-Marie Wad that said rural schools serve as the canary in the mine for Colorado teacher shortage. That is that rural schools are seeing it first, and I think that's true. But I'm going to say that the teacher shortage itself is the canary in the mine for education in Colorado. Miners would use canaries as their first sign of danger. If the caged canary that they took down in the mine with them died, it meant that methane and the carbon monoxide levels were getting to dangerous levels, and they would have a chance to evacuate the mine before the miners died, before there was a tragedy. The canary in the mine is the first sign that something is dangerously not right. And if we pay attention to that sign, it can save us. Well, we have our canary in the mine in education, and the signs aren't good. Last week, a statistic was released that there are 2.2% fewer students graduating from Colorado colleges and universities with a degree in teaching this May than there were last May. But since 2010, we've seen a 24.4% drop in the number of students graduating with a teaching degree from our Colorado colleges. That should give everyone in this room chills. That is the sign of danger for education in our state. And if we listen to the sign, it will save us. But unfortunately, I don't see a lot of people listening. So what will we do about it? This is an action summit. What will you do individually? What will we do as a group to make sure that our students are both adequately and equitably funded? Our hope is that you'll find answers to some of those questions today. I am honored to have been given the opportunity to speak to you this morning, and I hope that if anything comes out of today, it's a call to positive action and a commitment to making a change and a difference without blame. We have a system that's broken, and we just need to get busy fixing it and figuring it out together. I want to be a part of the solution, and I know you do too. That's why we're here. Thank you. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Corinne Rivera Fowler, Director of Parents,